News Talk Radio, CJAD 800. All right, we're going to talk about revenge porn now. Yes, revenge porn. I don't know if you've ever heard about this. A quick explanation of what this is. This is what happens when a naked photo of someone is put up on the internet without their consent and for the purposes of humiliation. It can be uploaded by, let's say, a jaded ex-boyfriend, an angry ex-girlfriend, a frustrated ex-wife or ex-husband. And by the way, the images, once they're uploaded, or the video, it could be as well, often come with personal information as to who that person is in the video or the photo, maybe links to their Facebook page, other social media. It is very, very obviously damaging and corrosive to the person in question, the person who is targeted, and it is happening more and more. And also, it is very hard to fight. Once one of these revenge porn items, so to speak, is up there, how the heck do you get it down if you're the one targeted, or if one of your family members or close friends or partner has been targeted? My next guest knows this all too well. Dr. Charlotte Law is joining me on the line from Los Angeles. Her daughter went through this, and she found herself in the middle of a fight trying to get this picture of her daughter off the internet, and she joins us now. Charlotte, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, tell me and my listeners how huge of a problem this can actually be, because you know firsthand now.
Yeah, I mean, the victims can lose their job, they lose personal relationships. These photos are sent to victims' bosses, to their family members, to all of their Facebook friends. It's really something that's very, very damaging. And the thing about the internet, things proliferate. So you may have your photo on one site at the start, and then it may end up on 10 sites a month later and 50 sites a year later. And so it's something you have to monitor for the rest of your life once your picture is out there.
Talk to us a little bit about what you went through, what your daughter went through, and this website is anyoneUp.com. This is the one that this photo was put up on, and you found yourself in this fight trying to get it down. What happened?
Well, my daughter had taken over 100 pictures in her room with her cell phone in the mirror, and one of those shots was topless. And she sent the photos from her cell phone through her email to her computer to save them. She didn't ever intend to show them to anyone. And 3 months later, she was hacked. And 9 days after that, the topless photo ended up on isanyoneup.com. And she was absolutely devastated. I mean, she lost an acting job because of it. She almost lost a waitressing job. She didn't want her boyfriend to find out because he's very conservative, and she thought he would break off the relationship. She was withdrawn. She was wanted to shut down her online presence. And when she told me about it, I had never heard of revenge porn. And I started kind of a little investigation. I used to be a private detective, and I came to find out that this particular site, in my study, 40% of the pictures had been hacked. I started contacting victims all over the country and asking them how they got on the site. And 12% of the photos were photoshopped. So in other words, the person had their head was put with someone else's nude body, but it was their name, their city, their workplace, their reputation that was being ruined.
Wow.
So over half the pictures on the site from my study were either hacked or photoshopped. And so I got the FBI involved. It was a huge war. I mean, it was unbelievably difficult to get my daughter's picture off and to get the other victims' pictures blocked or off the internet.
Now, tell me what happened to isanyoneup.com. The site is down, right? The site has been taken offline, correct?
Yes, he did take the site down, and he took it down in the midst of the FBI investigation. The FBI, I did get them to investigate, which was wonderful. I had a pretty thick file by the time they came to my house. It was about 10 inches thick, because I had numbers for people all over the country who had been hacked, and some people outside the country even. And they raided his house last year and took his cell phone and his computer, and they probably also raided the hacker's house, I'm assuming, although I don't have information about that. And so the investigation is still open currently.
Right.
And in November of last year, which was many months after the FBI had raided him, he then told the press he was going to bring back the same site with all the original photos, but it was going to be worse because he was going to put the home address of victims along with driving directions on how to get to their houses.
Yeah, and this guy, he calls himself a professional, or he did at one point call himself a professional life ruiner, this Hunter Moore, who was behind this isanyoneup.com, sort of a bully who you have sort of been instrumental in trying to shut down. You really see, though, Charlotte, don't you, but nowadays when we take photos of ourselves, selfies, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it might be, that, you know, there are so many photos out there that every time you're sending one, even if you send one innocuously, because we know a lot of sexting goes on too, right, between boyfriends and girlfriends and whatnot, and, you know, we kind of hope if we do this that those photos are never going to actually end up outside to the, you know, the outside world, even if we break up with those people right down the line.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, I don't subscribe to the idea of blaming the victim. I think people should be allowed to take pictures of themselves.
For sure.
And I do feel that if someone else puts their photo up, I think that's why we need laws. I mean, I'm glad and I'm very encouraged to see that Canada is doing something and that California, we passed a law, and we have a law in New Jersey and many other states here in America are put forth legislation that we're hoping to pass. And so I'm very encouraged by that because I do feel that people should have that right to privacy, and I certainly think people shouldn't be hacked. And so but it is a very big problem. And from my last research, it appears there are about 870 revenge porn sites currently still up.
Yeah,
there are a lot of victims out there.
Yeah, mind-boggling. So you talked about the laws, which is a great point that I want to raise here. You know, these laws are on the books. How effective do you think they'll be? I mean, had there been laws in place prior, would that have stopped Hunter Moore from what he did to your daughter?
I think they would be very effective because one thing I've learned about these revenge porn website operators, they're very afraid of law enforcement. They're not afraid of civil lawsuits. So, and I think it's partly because they have no assets, so they don't really care if somebody sues them. And also, if you're a victim, you don't really want to sue because your name has been associated with nude pictures. And that's the biggest problem is these victims do not want to come out with their name. They are trying to, you know, hide that information. They don't want it out there further. So I find that they're very afraid of law enforcement. And so I think these laws will do a lot to deter all of this kind of behavior in the first place. It
is remarkable, just before we go, though, that you had to get the FBI involved, Charlotte, to stop this, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and they were really wonderful, and actually I was very impressed with how professional they were, and they seemed to put a lot of energy into it. They came to my house 3 times, and I know they contacted many, many victims, and I understand that thousands of people, not hundreds of people, were hacked by this one hacker who was submitting material to Is Anyone Up?
Charlotte, thanks so much for making time for me and my listeners here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You're listening to Viewpoints with Todd Hayden, the podcast. Catch Todd live Saturdays at noon on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.